I'm Al Petrillo from Fire Apparatus Magazine, and I'm here at FDSOA with Paul Darley, the President and Chief Executive Officer of W.S. Darley and Company. Paul, what do you see as the major changes in apparatus that have come down and affected apparatus design and manufacture in the past few years?
Yeah, clearly I think the biggest change has been the last sweeping changes with NFPA that took effect January 1st, 2010. And while the standards have been rewritten over the last 20 years, probably 5 times I believe, this last rewrite was probably the most significant, particularly in the area of major safety changes. And when I look at those, I'm looking at the changes with respect to cab safety, with respect where cab rollover and seatbelts and airbags and were very dramatic, as well as you know, the black box, if you will.
The voice data recorders.
Voice data recorders, thank you. As all the way down to the striping. It was really a radical rewrite that by most estimates added anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 to a vehicle. That was subsequently followed by changes with EPA that took place on all trucks ordered after January 1st, 2010, where in order to meet the new emission controls, the engine manufacturers had to redesign their engines to accommodate DEF fluid, or some manufacturers such as International are able to meet those emissions without that, but still a radical change to the vehicles, which on the surface might not sound like much, but when you have a chassis manufacturer, whether it be a custom fire chassis manufacturer like a Spartan or an HME, or a OEM fire apparatus manufacturer who makes their own cabin chassis like a Pierce, for example, or KME or E1, they then had to go and incorporate all of those additional components onto the vehicle, and they had to put them in places where traditionally other equipment, such as pumps, for example, may have been located. So it really went and created a ripple effect, if you will, that became a major impact. So those two have been the most significant.
So it's had some effect then on the size of the vehicles, the wheelbases too, and
you know, a little bit.
compartmentation?
Believe it or not, most of the manufacturers have gone and been able to come up with unique solutions where they didn't have to necessarily expand the wheelbase. They've gone and relocated the pumps, for example, into different parts of the truck, or they've gone and driven them as opposed to being a split shaft pump driven by the truck driveline right behind the cab. Maybe they've moved it underneath the cab, such as Pierce has done with the Puck, or maybe they've gone and moved it back by the rear axle, such as Crimson has done with their frac units or their transformer units. And I think you'll continue to see more of those type of thinking outside the box when, you know, forced with a paradigm shift.
Mm-hmm.
How do you react to this change in technology? They adapt.
And they've obviously acted well too.
They have, and I think you'll continue to see one of the things that I think you'll really see at this year's FDIC in March. I think it's 24th to the 26th down in Indianapolis. Is a number of builders. Those are fire apparatus builders introducing innovative fire apparatus that are addressing the needs of today's firefighters, which are changing drastically. And there I'm talking specifically. You know, when you and I were kids, a fire truck would roll out of a station and it'd be responding to fires about 40% of the time. And today, with all the other responsibilities that the Fire and Rescue Service has, they actually only respond to fires, actually in 2009, less than 5% of the time. So EMS calls make up 65%. They've got hazmat added on, and also, so their calls the number of calls that they've had to make has tripled, but the number of fires, with everything being sprinkled and flame resistant and fewer smokers and all the rest, the number of fires that they're responding to is down drastically.